वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्य नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपादमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतार्णं परमानन्दमाधवं शीतदन्मेश्वरम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमाचार्यपादाय। So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this our weekly Saturday Srimad Bhagavatam session. I think it's a wonderful way to start our weekend because weekdays we are fully busy in our materialistic activities. So at least we come into the consciousness of, spending more time in Krishna consciousness over the weekend. So we are going to discuss today Canto 5th, Chapter 9, the chapter named The Supreme Character of Jada Bharata. Everybody is able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so where the story stands. We are in actually, this is one of the most interesting story of Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe, which has so many lessons to learn. And this story is unique in the way it spans through the three birth of a devotee. And it's a very important lesson that what we should do and what we should not do as a practicing devotees. So it's really one of the most inspiring story of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the story which we all know. And as soon as we come in Krishna Consciousness, generally we are being taught the story of Bharat Maharaj. So, but the unique part is that when we discuss in detail, there are so many aspects of the story which unfolds in Prabhupada purports, and what we can take from the story. So it's very interesting to read the conclusions of a self-realized soul like Srila Prabhupada in the purports. So this fifth canto is started with the dynasty of uh, Priyavrata, another son of Manu. And we all know that Canto started with that he was meditating in doing tapasya in forest, and then after Uttanapad, Dhruv story we all heard in fourth canto. So then he was being accessed by Brahma Narad to rule the world. He was not very keen. Then finally Lord Vishnu came and he convinced, and he basically ruled Bharatvarsha for long. And then after that, we had his dynasty like King, Agnidhara, then Nabhi, then Rishabdev. We heard a couple of chapters about the glories of Rishabdev. And then the eldest son of Bharat Maharaj, the story starts. And we have seen how he was ruling the Bharatvarsha, which on his name only this Bharatvarsha name was coined. So then, at the peak of his life, he decided to renunciate. He went into near Gandaki River, uh, Pulaha Ashram, for performing devotional service. He was nicely performing in his services, but at one moment he saw one mother deer was giving birth to a baby deer fawn, and then as the mother deer died, the Bharat, out of compassion, started taking care of the baby deer, and that's where the whole thing turned around. And he became so much attached to this deer that he started becoming distracted from his devotional service. And but since the when he died, his since he was fully in the consciousness of deer, he became a deer next life. But by the Lord's mercy, or the his by the mercy of his pure bhakti, which he did in previous life, he somehow remembered his previous life. And when he got the body of a deer, he became really, really, what to say, regretful about what he has, what mistake he did. So in the last few shlokas of previous chapter, we had a wonderful session by Shankpani Prabhu last time. His sessions are very, very thought-provoking and very inspiring. So we saw that how after becoming last shloka of some of the previous chapters, basically uh, talk that, why did Bharat Maharaj fell down? Um, Prabhupada writes in purpose that, it was the will of the Lord as well as the action of the previous karmas. And then, but as soon as he became dear, Lord was very, very, as Prabhu was nicely explaining last time, that our devotee of the Lord is never perish. The Lord gives his mercy. He never leaves him. He may teach some lessons, but he will never leave his devotee. So then, being a deer, he remembered his previous life, and then, but in last few shlokas of previous chapter, it is mentioned that the deer, as a deer, Bharat Maharaj was, you know, very, very careful. And he immediately left his family, dear family, which means his mother, his brothers, sisters, and he came again to the same ashram of Pulasya Rishi and Pulaha Rishi. And then he did very austere life as a deer. He did led. He ate only dry grass and, very simple life. He was always hearing the sages in the ashram. So he was just fully meditating upon the Lord. And this time he didn't want to do any mistake uh, as a deer. So at the end of the previous chapter, we see that, the deer decides to give up his life in Gandaki River while taking bath. So that way, his life was as a deer was successful. And then now this chapter starts with the third birth of Bharat Maharaj, which is, as a Jad Bharat. We'll see how this thing. So now we see the chapter starts with, uh, you know, Bharata takes as a son of a pure Brahmana in the Angira dynasty. And his father was very austere, very learned, and very rich in Brahminical qualities. So Jad Bharat, but Jad Bharat actually was already a self-realized soul. We have discussed, Shankpani Prabhu told last week itself that Bharat Maharaj was at a bhava stage. He was almost at a pure bhakti, prema stage. But as we learned from the last session, that even at the highest stage of one of the highest stage of bhava, it is possible that we may fall down. So we have to be very, very careful in our spiritual practices. So anyway, so coming back to the story, so he was, very, the Brahmana, his father Brahman was tried his best to make him, a good Brahmana by giving him all the knowledge like he was giving to his other sons. So this Brahmana had two wives. So first wife he had nine sons, and second wife he had twins, one daughter and one son. So and this he was the Bharat was the youngest of all the siblings, but he was born with the full memory of past two lives. So he knew exactly what happened as a Bharat and as a deer in his previous life. So Prabhupada actually makes in the purports, Prabhupada writes that even if a devotee who falls short of a perfection is never lost, and he takes birth in a family where devotional life can be resumed. So although it may look like a fall down, but actually it was a not a fall down in a sense that Bharat Maharaj was blessed with the memory of his previous life and the mistakes which he had done. So, so we see, although Bharata was born as a Kshatriya, as a king, he was born as a Kshatriya. But since because of the attachment with the deer, he fell down. But then after two births, he got in a birth in a qualified Brahmana family with a previous life remembrance. And Prabhupada say that this is a reward of the previous spiritual practices. So in this regard, we know this famous shloka from second chapter, Neha Vikrama Nasho Asti Pratyavayo na Vidyate. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So Krishna says in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that on this endeavor there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from most dangerous type of fear. So many times we have this fear, not fear, we have this, what do you say, lethargy or whatever you call it, that we are not performing our spiritual practices properly. So we may think, okay, chalo, kuch ho to raha nahi hai, then let's stop it anyway. Let's enjoy the material world. Anyway, at least we were enjoying there. Here, though so much austerity we do, not, no result is coming. But there is no loss on this path. Prabhupada quote this shloka in the purport, saying that there is no loss on this path. So we should not be, disappointed or something like that. We should not think, okay, I'm not able to do. Let's stop it. So we should keep endeavoring because we will never be lost. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport of that shloka that material work, if we want some result, then we have to complete it fully to yield the result. But that is not the case with the Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness, whatever we do, swalpamapyasya dharmasya, even if we do little, uh, you know, even if it is incomplete, it is eternal, it is permanent, it goes with us from life to life. And so Prabhupada writes in the purport that 1% done means the next we'll start from the 2%. So it is, we should not think, we should not be discouraged that, okay, I'm not able to do the perfect. Although our goal should be, as Prabhupada always say, that in this life itself, we have to go back to Godhead. So we should do with properly, with sincerity, so that we can complete our cycle of birth and death in this life itself. But we should not be disappointed or morose all the time. Okay, I'm not able to do perfectly, so let's give the best of our whatever we can. So in this regard, in this shloka's purport, Prabhupada mentions the story of Ajamila. We all know the story of Ajamila, that Ajamila was a Brahmana. He was performing his spiritual practices, but just at a moment of what to say, lust, he gets carried away towards a prostitute, and and then his whole life is spent in with that prostitute doing all illicit activities. But at the end of the life, somehow Lord arranges that he keeps the name of one of his son as Narayana, and he calls Narayana. And then when he's calling his son Narayana, instead of Yamdutas, Vishnu Dutas come. And we know that story. There is a long conversation, and he is given a second chance. And then next 12 years, he practices spirituality perfectly, and then he goes back to Godhead. So this is the benefit of doing, spirituality with best of our ability. We should do, but is due to some reason we are not able to achieve that perfection. Still, there is no loss. Like Bharat Maharaj, he is 99% done. So now in this life, he is going to continue. In this regard, there is another shloka which can be quoted, which is Bhagavad Gita 6.41, which says, the prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yogo yoga bhrashto abhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entity, is born into a family of religious people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So, in this purport of this shloka, Prabhupada writes that, unsuccessful yogis are of, two kinds. One who is fallen after little progress, other who is fallen after long practice. So, in any case, the person may go to various planets to enjoy and return to either a righteous Brahmana Vaishnava family or an aristocratic family where he can continue his spiritual journey. So, that is a guarantee, which is because this is the context is that, when Arjuna asked that, a person who is not a successful yogi, then what is his fate? And then Krishna replies this, saying that he gets birth into a family of righteous Brahmana or aristocratic. Why aristocratic family? Because aristocratic family, if you have the right mood, it's very easy. You don't have to struggle for your day-to-day life. You just continue with your spiritual practices. But of course, a lot of rich people are not able to do that because they don't have the spiritual background. That so in so Prabhupada say that such a birth is Lord's facility to resume the path, and he gives the example of Bharat Maharaj there in the purport, saying that, Bharat Maharaj, although literally he was achieved perfection, at that point of time he fell down, but Krishna facilitated it, that we are seeing that he remembered his previous life, as well as, he was born in a Brahmana family where his father gave him all the knowledge. Although Jada Bharat was not interested because he was already self-realized soul, but still getting a conducive environment where we can practice our Krishna awareness is also an important aspect. We see so many people, in our preaching opportunities, that a lot of people come to us and they want to practice, Krishna consciousness. But sometimes, the family situations, either financially or because of relationships, it's very difficult for the devotee, for the people to continue their spiritual practice, and they stop. I remember I have met one boy, he was actually, he was in a young age. His, father passed away, and uh, he he was staying with the mother, but due to financial reasons, they were shifted to mother's brother's house. And there he came in touch with this con devotees, and he started practicing. But uh, his uncle was dead against, you know spirituality, and he didn't allow. So I remember he used to come to our programs, and he used to say that, I'm coming in hiding, because if my uncle comes to know, then it will be. And he was dependent on his uncle, so for financial these things. So I still see he comes once in a while to temple. He meets me, but I feel so sad that you know. That he wants to practice Krishna, and he's a young boy. He's hardly in 20s. So but somehow so better whenever we have the opportunity to practice Krishna oneness, we do it very seriously. We don't know. We may think that okay, I'll continue in next birth. We may have desire, but then the situations may not be very conducive for us. So now the chapter third to eight shlokas, the Jada Bharat is very, very cautious about the activities. He is, he's not taking association with anybody. He's, forgot about society, not his own family, not his parents. He doesn't talk to anybody, he doesn't meet anybody. He just like a dumb person. He stays because he doesn't want to get any attachment, because he remembers that attachment to a deer caused him so much. So he's very fearful of his association. He acts deaf, dumb, and dull. So he is not, even if his father is dragging him to give a very good education, he makes him sit with himself and he teaches him scriptures. And but this person, doesn't show any interest. And that last father also loses all the hopes that this person can learn anything. He doesn't know that actually he is a self-realized soul. And his name was Bharat, but then they added Jada to it. Jada means a person who is dull, uh, the inert one. So, which literally means he's an idiot. He's a dumbo. So, in today's word, so he act like a Jada person who is like Jada means actually a person who doesn't have any life. So you beat him, you insult him, you say anything, you this thing. He was acting as if he has no effect. So he accepted all the insults as a protection for the detachment from the material life. He accepted that as a Lord's blessings. He didn't get himself into a comfort zone where he can get into some attachment. So Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that the devotee should be careful of the bad association. So whole episode of Jad Bharat is a lesson that we should be very careful with what we are associating with. So in today's world, it is, our all these material possessions are actually a very big hurdle in our spiritual progress. So we have to be very, very careful. We should, as Prabhupada say, simple living, high thinking, instead of having big, material opulences. We should lead a very, very simple life as much as possible. So then in further 6 to 11 shlokas, so it's Chad Bharat's father dies, and after that his half brothers, like they stop his education and his teaching him Brahminical things, because they see no use in teaching a fool, because he was acting like a fool. So he was spoken very harshly. He was fed very, leftover food, and sometimes he's not given food. And he was insulted, he was beaten, he was like, so, but he just never protested anything. He just continued with his completely meditating on the Supreme Lord. So bodily, he was a very strong person. What was done is that they engaged him in their field, in agriculture activities, like bull, giving him all hard tasks to do in the fields, and they were literally not feeding him anything. They will give him broken rice or oil cake or chaff, or chaff is like husk kind of thing, and then burned scraps, so burned leftovers. They were giving him, feeding him like all that, but he was not, very affected. So what he will do is he will not do anything properly. The his goal was that okay, let him be insulted, let him be beaten, because he was scared of getting into attachment with his brothers, family, or all the family possessions. So he was not because he was not at the bodily platform. He was, at the, uh, you know, a platform of, higher platform, we can say. So then the story continues that, there was a chief dacoit who was desiring a son, and he was being told that if you offer a man sacrifice or a human sacrifice to Bhadrakali, you can get a son. So um, okay, I'll continue with the story, then I'll come to this Prabhupada's point. So then what happened is that he found out somebody, but somehow that person escaped. So he told his all his fellow dacoits that you go and find out somebody, one suitable person. So we all know that when anything, any human, anything is rather not human, means human sacrifice is a sin, but even animal sacrifice is done, then the person, that animal should not have any defect. He should be a strong, person or animal, sorry, strong animal, and without any defect. He should not be defective with this thing. So they saw Jad Bharat, so they immediately, thought that this is the right person. So he was very strong by bodily and, looked very healthy. So, so they just, when they bound him, they took him with he didn't uh, show any resistance, and like a dull person, he was, he just, uh, like he didn't resist it at all. So in this context, Prabhupada is writing in the purport that, the worship of demigods uh, for material gains belong to the people in the passion and ignorance. So, for a higher spiritual upliftment, a person has to be in Satoguna, and the people in Satoguna are worshipping only Lord Narayana. So they don't worship the demigods because they are not looking for the material gains. So we also see in Bhagavad Gita and many other places, Prabhupada clarifies this, that, material gains in this world are temporary. So they are not, although demigods, they may sanction, but everything is temporary, because even demigods cannot give us liberation, eternal, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. That is only possible by Lord Narayana. So, um, so there is no point. So we know in this context, Bhagavatam says that when we water the root, the tree is also automatically nourished. Similarly, if we worship Supreme Lord Narayana, then all other uh, demigods automatically they become happy. Anyway, so in we see that the story further continues in further shlokas, that where he is bathed, dressed, decorated, garlanded, and fed as a sacrificial beast, while dacoits sang and beat drums before the deities. Then, he was so he still did not resist anything, and they were thinking him as a deaf and dumb person, but Bhagavatam says that he was very intelligent. He was the most intelligent person because he was not identifying himself with the body. So at the end, the chief of that dacoits, he raised a chopper before Mother Kali to cut his head and offer to Mother Kali. And Jadabharat didn't flinch, because he know the soul is never slain, because hanyate hanyamane sharire. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that it is the body which is killed, not the soul. Soul is eternal. And Jad Bharat knew it very well. So he didn't resist at all. But then there is something surprising happened there, that uh, even when the he was about to be killed with the chopper, then Mother Kali, she could not see that Jad Bharat is being being such a self-realized soul, he is being killed. So she comes out of the deity form, and she just takes the same chopper which this chief dacoit was using, and she cuts the head of all the dacoits, and Mother Kali's associate, then they start dancing. And you know that you can imagine the scene. Mother Kali is a very fierce, what is a fearful form, and so she kills all of them, and she protects Jad Bharat. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that even a demigod will not tolerate any offense to a pure devotee. Those who harm devotees are destroyed by the very means they are intended to use. So uh, uh, forget about Lord himself, even the demigods like Mother Durga, Ganesha, and all, they all become unhappy with the, any person who is harming the devotee. So we should be very, very careful in our dealings with Vaishnavas, that, we are not offending them, we are not doing any, harm to the devotees. And, we should be very, very careful with our dealings with Vaishnavas, like senior devotees who are senior to us. Just ensure that, we are giving them sufficient respect. For the peers, we should have a loving relationship. And for the devotees who are coming into Krishna consciousness after us, or maybe we are grooming them, we should be very careful with our with full of compassion. We should deal with them. So what happens many times, we when we make progress and we become so-called so-called seniors in bhakti. Actually, the seniority in bhakti is not decided by the number of years. It is decided with how much connection you have with Krishna. So sometime a new person who is coming in devotional service may be more connected to Krishna than us. Maybe we are 15, 20 years into Krishna awareness. So if we have that understanding with us, that, we are, have always dealing ourselves, understanding us as, very low in bhakti, not low in the sense of low self, what to say, but it means humility, understanding with ourself, identifying ourselves humbly as the servant of the Lord, and without any love for God in our heart, then we will never have any offense. So we should be very, very careful in our dealings with Vaishnavas. So, so in very striking, this is the last shloka of the chapter, where Shukdev Goswami is saying that for a devotee, the shelter of the Lord is always there. So this is the translation, which is, those who already know that soul is separate from the body, who are liberated from invincible knot in the heart, who are always engaged in welfare activity for all living entity, who never contemplate harming anyone, are always protected by Supreme Personality of Godhead, who carries his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra. So Lord is protecting through his Sudarshan Chakra to the all his devotee. So we know the story of Amrish Maharaj, where Amrish Maharaj, when Durvasa Muni wanted to kill Amrish Maharaj, that time Sudarshan came and protected. And similarly here, under the divine arrangement of the Lord, Mother Kali, she protected Jad Bharata. So how did this fearlessness came into this thing? So it is a natural, Prabhupada writes, it's a natural condition of one who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Bhaja hure mana Sri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vrindare. So a person who takes the shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, he becomes fearless. For him, there is no fear. We have fear because we are attached to this body, and we are not fully surrendered to Lord yet. Our faith is very fragile, and that takes us, makes us fearful. So now coming to this chapter ends here. So we'll continue the next chapter further, that what happens in Jadabharat. Interesting aspect is going to happen. You all know the story, but those teachings are very, very wonderful. But if we contemplate on this chapter, so we see that, Jad Bharat didn't react at all. So, in this regard, there is a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 18th chapter, 48 shloka, which is spoken by Shamik Rishi on King Parikshit. So, which is very interesting, which says, Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta shipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavo apihi. The devotee of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, Tiraskrit means defamed, Viplabdha means cheating, Shapta means cursed, Kshipta means they are disturbed, Hata means Shipta means neglected or hurt, disturbed, and Hata means killed, means they are hit. They never incline to avenge themselves. So devotees of the Lord are very, very tolerant. And we'll discuss this few next few slides are just talking about the tolerance and how we should practice the practically we can be tolerant in our life. So this shloka, the context is that we know that King Parikshit in the fit of a thirst, he just put a dead snake on Shamik Rishi, and this his son Shringi, he comes to know and he cursed the king Parikshit to die in 7 days. So now this thing, Shringi, he comes to his father and he tells that this thing, and then uh, the rishi feels very bad. He says that he's such a pious king. Why did you do that? So he thought, okay, he sends a message to King Parikshit, and King Parikshit was already feeling guilty because he thought that he has done an offense. And as soon as he comes to know, he immediately leaves everything. So in that context, Shamak Rishi, before, so he says that, King Parikshit is such a devotee that he will not, react. I know he will not. So actually, King Parikshit was capable of taking some action against the boy because he is a young boy. How can he curse a king? And he is a pure devotee also. He could have counter cursed as well, but he didn't do any such thing. He just took it as a will of the Lord. So Prabhupada write in the purport that for a personal things, devotees, they do not care if there is a defaming or if there is cursing or there is a neglect. But when it comes to the Lord and his devotees, they take strong action. They take action. So if you see in this shloka also, Tad Bhakta Prabhavo Apihi means Prabhavo Api means he has the power. He has that Prabhava to actually counteract in any way. But then a devotee doesn't want to spend his power or his energy for anything of his personal benefit. He just uses that in the service of the Lord and his devotee. So when it comes to tolerance, so anything which related to his personal this thing, a devotee of the Lord tolerates it. And when it comes to that this thing to Guru, the sadhus, or devotees or the Lord, then a devotee of the Lord does not tolerate it. We'll see it further. So this sloka was already saying that defamed, cheated, cursed, neglected, and even struck down. So in this, in situation, generally an ordinary person will hit back, will react. But if we see, Jada Bharat, he was actually defamed in the sense. We'll see that, I think. Okay, next slide has that. So a devotee, does not retaliate. He does not react. So we'll see how Jada Bharat did if we see the shloka. So Jada Bharat responds how the five provocations which are mentioned in previous shloka in first canto. So first thing is, he was defamed. So his own family called him dumb, idiot, and all that stuff. But he never corrected them. He never showed them that no, 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 I'm very qualified. I'm very self-realized soul. He never did that. Cheated, yes, he was, although he was working very hard, but at the end he was giving some broken rice, some husk to eat, or some, all those kind of things. So, but he continued working. He's being cheated. Even his spiritual education was stopped. He was spoken very harshly by his own brothers and all the people around. He was insulted again and again that you are worthless person. He was neglected because he was not treated. He was treated like an animal. You just do the work and stay away. So he accepted it. He accepted it as a medium to get protection from the entanglement. He was threatened with the death. We see how the dacoits were trying to sacrifice him, and he understood that soul is never slain, and Lord is there to protect him. So devotee's response is, he does not retaliate at all. He just looks at the higher purpose. I always say this as a practical. Many devotees, being a circle servant, they come and share their practical problems with other devotees. And I always say the toughest part of bhakti is to be with other devotees. You know, it's not that to be do the devotional practices, that somehow if we have determination we can do it. But unfortunately, the when we stay with other devotees, everybody is on the path of making progress on the path of spirituality. Everybody is still at the conditioned stage, and at that stage, a practicing devotee, gets very, very disheartened by the behavior of the other devotees. So I think if we follow the principles of these great devotees, then our spiritual life can be very, very, peaceful. So we'll discuss some of the practical aspects. So the tolerance, actually, it is not a weakness. Actually, it's a strength, which this strength helps us to make progress on the path of devotional service. Because we know that Kama, Krodha, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya, these are the anarthas which are always holding us back into this material world. So the when the situations come where which are not very conducive, and then we are any of these five situations which were defamed, cheating, and all that. So what happens is that provoking time, our spiritual progress is tested. So if we are practicing tolerance in our spiritual life, then it becomes our strength. Although my mind and my body is asking me to retaliate, but at that point of time, my spiritual strength is holding me back. So it does not help just in the spiritual life, it helps us in material lives also. And we'll see some of the examples there. But we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has set a very, very high standard. He says, Trinadapi suni chena tarurapi sahishnuna amani namanadena kirtanaya sadahari. So we have to be humble like a blade of grass, and tolerant like a tree. So this is a high standard which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has set for us. So Jada Bharat actually, whatever is mentioned in the previous verse from first canto, he actually tolerated everything. So real tolerance comes from realization, not from the suppression. That is one thing which we should know very clearly. Because if we are not spiritually strong and we try to suppress our, feelings, then that will lead to very, very, what to say, uneasy situation for us. But if our tolerance is based on our spiritual strength, spiritual practices, and realizations in the spiritual path, then that tolerance we will be able to, carry forward. So this tolerance, it should not be artificially, because artificial tolerance it will just burst out one day. But we should practice based on our spiritual strength. So there are some examples in the scriptures where the reactions led to very, very unpleasant situations, and some reactions which helped us in which teaches us that we we can handle the situation better. So in this regard, there is a story of Devayani and Shamishra in our scriptures. So Devayani was actually a daughter of Shukracharya, and Shamishra was the daughter of the king. I forgot the name of the king. So on whom he was a king of demons. So he was so what happens is they both were friends. So they went to take bath in a lake which is in a very isolated place. At that point of time, Lord Shiva and Parvati, they were going in the sky along with Nandi, and they were passing there. So they both saw Lord Shiva and Parvati. So because they were taking bath without clothes in water, both of them, they quickly decided to put on their clothes as a mark of respect. So they came out, and then in a hurry, Sarmishta, Devyani actually, she wore the clothes of Sarmishta. So Sarmishta is the daughter of a king. So she is a Kshatriya and Devyani is a Brahmani. So then what happens is that as soon as, Sarmishta sees that Devyani has worn his clothes, he becomes very angry. And, she, or I don't know, I think maybe it was Ulta, I'm not sure. So Devyani actually passes the comments that, okay, basically, there I'm not able to recall the exact this thing, but their argument happens between them, and in that argument, at the end, it's a Sarmishta, Devyani tells Sarmishta to be a dog, because she says the Brahmana, being a Brahmana, as daughter of a Shukracharya, she is, at a higher position, and Sarmishta is trying to degrade her. So she uses in the fit of anger, she uses the wrong words. And Sarmishta, being a daughter of the king, she becomes angry and she throws Devyani into the well. So it is something like, both of them are, not able to tolerate. And then at the end, the story is very long. I will not go into the story, but the thing is that quickly I'll tell that Shamishta then goes to her father and tells this has happened. And Shukracharya is a great sage, so king becomes very scared and he goes and asks for forgiveness. And then Devyani, he tells that, it's a very very long story. There are many many aspects in that, but anyway, so Sarmishra has to finally become the maid to the Devyani, and so it is further story continues. There is a very very interesting story, but anyway, that is not the context of today. So the thing what happened is that because both of them did not have tolerance, that ended up in being such a great mishap in both of their lives. Both of their lives suffered after that a lot. On the other hand, we see the famous pastime of Lord Shiva when Daksha enters into the assembly where everybody is sitting. So Brahma and Shiva don't get up when Daksha enters there. So Daksha is able to accept that Brahma didn't get up because Brahma is his father, but he's not able to accept the fact that Shiva is not giving respect to him. And he just starts humiliating Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, that whole episode, we know that Lord Shiva doesn't react at all. And at the end, he just gets up and he goes. So if we see, in both the examples, one example is the extreme that where the personal, insult was, not tolerated. On the other hand, we see the devotees like the greatest Lord Shiva, he didn't react. So a devotee of the Lord never, he, because for a devotee of the Lord, the biggest goal is to go back to Godhead in this life itself. So his goal is not, how to settle in this material life. How will I be settled? How is my prestige is there? So if we are able to come out of all that, then it is very easy for us to tolerate. Srila Prabhupada say that in this material world and spiritual world, there is a big contrast. Prabhupada say that, in spirit, material world, everybody is envious. Everybody consider himself to be the center of the activities. While in spiritual, world, everybody is more, worried about the pleasure of the Lord. Worried in the sense is more concerned or more wants to serve the Lord. So in this material world and spiritual world, that is a contrast. So in this material world, what happens is because we are driven by the modes of material nature, which are passion and ignorance. So we become carried away by the lust, anger, greed. And when we come into the spiritual life, so Prabhupada has given us the spiritual word within this material world. It's like an island, where the spiritual word we can practice the same spiritual word, which will be, which is our goal. But unfortunately, because we have been so much conditioned in our material life, we continue the same propensities in the material world, spiritual world. And because of those propensities or conditioning of the material world, we practice the same way what we were doing. And that becomes the cause of our, not able to make progress. The practical issue is that we are trying to fix the world around us without trying to fix ourselves. Ach. So then it is being so it's very difficult to unless and until we work upon ourselves to making this thing, it is not possible for us to make the spiritual. So our in the spiritual world, in the material world, our this thing is our attitude is what tit for tat. So we know that when we were child, we had heard this story and crane and fox. So crane, we know that story that a crane and fox were friends, and then fox invites crane to on a lunch, and then that the crane has a beak. So with the beak, he puts fox puts because fox was greedy. He puts all the food on a plate, and crane has a beak. So crane needs something deep to eat. So now crane gets hurt. So what he does is he invites the fox next day, and then fox is he puts in a pot with a thin neck. So then the crane asks fox to eat the food, but now food is in the pot with the long neck, so only crane can put the beak. So this is the example of tit for tat. In our Bhagavatam also we get the story of Diti and Indra, because after Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were killed, Diti becomes very mother of Hiranyakashipu. She becomes very upset. So she goes to, so she knows her husband is a Brahmana, so he will, so she feels she cannot do anything to Lord Vishnu. So she feels that Indra is the cause of everything. So she thinks that, let me, so she asks her husband, give me some boon to kill Indra. So Kashyap Muni is elevated soul. He says, okay, you do for 1 year, you do one vrata. So he tells her to do a vrata. So now Indra comes to know that, that Diti is trying to, planning to kill Indra. So he comes to her aunt, because Diti and Aditi both are sisters, and Indra is the Aditi's son. So it's like a Mausi for her. So for him, so he comes and he tries to, keeping the story short. So he acts like he wants to serve Mother Diti. So he just waits for something to go wrong. So one day when she is little bit uh, do something wrong in her vrata, he enters into the womb and he tries to cut the Diti's womb into 7 pieces. And then each of the piece, again becomes a living being. And then he again cuts. They all become the 49 Marutas. So, so what happens is Diti was trying to cheat Kashyap. So then Indra is trying to cheat Diti. So, but okay, of course, because she had done the vrata for 1 year, then these 49 sons of Diti doesn't become demons; they become the demigods. So the thing is, in this material world, what will happen is, if we are into cheating propensity, if we are being a devotee, also if we are, wants to do harm to other devotees, or we are little duplicity with other devotees, then what happens is we'll be answered by same duplicity. We'll be answered by the same cheating. So that is a tendency of material world. At least in spiritual world, we should try our best not to practice that tit for tat. So in this regard, there is a story of Mahatma Gandhi. So there was one passenger when Mahatma Gandhi was traveling. So he makes a funny caricature for on Gandhi because he was wearing a dhoti and this thing. So Western people found it very offending. So he gives this picture to the Gandhi, funny, matlab, making him like fun of him. So Gandhi ji drops that into the dustbin and takes the pin which was holding the paper together. He takes and keeps it in his purse. So this person who wanted to provoke, he himself became angry, and he comes to Gandhi ji and he asks, what, how come you didn't find it anything worth in this? Then he shows the pin and he says that that is the only worth thing I found in this whole this thing. So, so the another, I think I have put it later in the slide. Another incident is when there was somebody about Gandhiji. There was some paper article which was, um, which was defaming Gandhiji. So some of his followers came to him, and they said that, see, this newspaper is something. I think we should also publish something. So Mahatma Gandhi says that, if a shoe bites you, you don't bite the shoe back. Forget it and do something meaningful, do something fruitful. So I think we should also think in when we are in context of our spiritual practices, that whenever these provoking situation on somebody is this thing, so we should remember this statement, if a shoe is biting us, we don't bite the shoe back. So it's all comes with the inner strength. So if you see that being tolerant is not a cowardice, it's a symbol of our inner strength. So, because in material world it is considered, oh, somebody is tolerating means we will consider them weak. Although it is not the case in material world also, but that's how at least people understand. But in the case of spirituality, it is a strength which can make us progress on the path of spirituality to a greater extent. So here, I don't know how much is the time. Okay, I should quickly. Okay. So there is a story of Nabhag. Nabhag was a son of, this also comes in Bhagavatam, ninth canto, I believe. So then there he was sent to Brahmachari ashram to Gurukul by his father. And there he was there. So his other three, four sons, brothers, what they do in the absence, this thing, when he was studying in Gurukul, they divide the family property, the king's property, and they throw the aged father out. So when this person comes back, he says, so this all his brothers say that we have already divided the wealth among ourselves. So then he says that what about my share? Say he said, in your share we are giving you the father. Go and take care of him. So, but he doesn't quarrel. He tolerates it. He goes to his father. He serves his father very nicely. And then, as a reward, what his father says that he tells that, okay, so and so places, the Brahmanas are doing yakna. You go and assist them. At the end, they will give you all the wealth. So, what happens is he goes there and he serves those Brahmanas. Not serves, he is there. At the end of seventh day, they do some mistake in their homa. At that point of time, Nabhag helps them, and then they become happy and they give him a lot of wealth, which was actually given, that wealth was given by his father only. So, but to test Nabhag, Lord Shiva comes there. Lord Shiva says, okay, this wealth belongs to me. So now again, instead of retaliating, he tells, okay, this was the order given my father. Let me go and ask my father. So he goes to his father and he asks, whose wealth is this? He says, it's Lord Shiva's. So he comes back and he says, okay, this wealth is yours, you take it. Although the father also knew that this wealth was not Lord Shiva's, but Lord Shiva was testing, and the father knew this. So at the end, Lord Shiva becomes very happy and he gives all the wealth, and not just that, he gives him a lot of spiritual knowledge. And Nabhag becomes one of the most, self-realized soul by the blessings of Lord Shiva. You can imagine how Lord Shiva is blessing, what can be the change in our life. So he becomes a very, very elevated devotee of the Lord. So the thing is, although he was cheated, but at the end, because of his tolerance, he is, able to achieve the big success in his spiritual life. So one of the biggest foundation of tolerance is integrity. Integrity means we should be honest in our dealings with Vaishnavas. We should be walking the talk. Whatever we are doing, are we walking the talk? Means, are we doing whatever we are talking? That is a very big challenge where at least I feel I fail, and I'm sure many devotees feel that we have a lot of spiritual knowledge, but we are not able to practice that spiritual knowledge. So we know the story of this cow in Bahulavana, where we celebrate this Bahulashtami, where the appearance day of Radhakund. That day, this story we many times we discuss that Bahula was a cow and she was cornered by a lion. I'll quickly go because time is not there, and she is yet to feed his calf. So she tells that, okay, to lion, that okay, I have. Uh, I've not yet fed my calf. Let me feed and come. So lion says, "You will not come back." He says, "No, no, no. I'll feed and I'll come back." So then she goes and feeds the calf, and then at the end, the story, the gist of the story is at the land, Krishna comes there, and lion also doesn't. He spares the cow. So the story, what we can learn from that is that if we have integrity. If we don't have duplicity in our interactions with devotees, we are very straightforward with our interactions with devotees, then automatically we will end up having the lot of tolerance. So the whole gist of this Jada Bharat story is that instead of retaliating, if we tolerate, now tolerance does not come artificially. It comes with a mind which is fully occupied with the spiritual strength. So, like if you see the Jada Bharat, why he could, he was like in Hindi, may we say, chikna ghada, like it was the pot which is, you cannot grip that pot because it has fully greasy. So, similarly, so most of the time, we have, if we see that our retaliation is based on the ego, our false ego. I still remember this Sunday we were cooking at temple, and we all know that what was happening in the temple. Those who were there, till 7:30 we didn't even have the gas stove, and I remember many times I'm going to Soumya Prabhu and asking him, Prabhu, you do it, just you put on the stove. Why you're not putting? He's saying, Prabhu, no stove is free. Then at least you get cut the tomato. So on those pressing situations, our reactions many times is very, of course, Soumya Prabhu didn't react. He was very calm. I was only overreacting actually. But then, the thing is, we have to understand that what is our mood in those kind of, that kind of introspection, if we are able to do, that will only happen with the strong spiritual strength. So that can only work. So everything boils down to our spiritual practices in our day-to-day life. How strongly we are hearing the pastimes of the Lord, how strongly we are reading the stories of all these devotees, the great devotees of the Lord, and how we are dealing with our fellow Vaishnavas. So, so everything, mostly specifically, many times, another example, what I see, I'm just taking practical examples. Last week or last week, we had that prasadam serving. And from the outside, the queue is becoming very big. And then we are saying, Prabhu, start fast, Mataji, you are doing slow. Like, we keep shouting, all the people who are standing, the people like me who are just standing and just speaking. So we'll say, Prabhu, jaldi karo, Mataji, jaldi karo. And then poor Prabhuji is doing with best of his strength. And then after some time, I went there and I started doing that. So, and then my hand is also paining, and I'm realizing, oh, this Prabhu was doing best of his ability, and I was thinking that I can do it better. So it's a false ego which makes us feel that I can do this better. I think this devotee is not doing. But please understand that it is not the case. Most of the time, it's our false ego which is pumping us up. So more we learn to tolerate, and in those situations, then more and more we will be. I'll just not just go much into it. So please, learn this from this Jada Bharata pastime, that uh, so that if we learn to tolerate, then Lord will be, happy with us. We know some of the weeks back we had the Adidev Prabhu's class. In that also he quoted the shloka Tattenu Kampa Susumiksha Manu, where Brahma says to Lord Krishna that anybody who tolerates all the difficult situations in the life as a mercy of the Lord, he becomes no, or as a reaction of his karmas, he becomes eligible for the mercy of the Lord, like a son becomes eligible for the wealth of the father. So Brahma is making a very striking statement that we should learn to tolerate. So, okay, so at the land, what we can learn from this chapter, that Prabhupada, these are some of the points from Prabhupada purports, where it is the association which shapes our destiny. We should understand that we are not the body, we are soul. We should not be we should not be pumping our false ego unnecessarily. So when we spiritually practice, we should try to, curb our false ego. Surrender invites invitation. So we see that how Lord Jada Bharata was protected, and even the offenses done to the this thing is not even tolerated by demigods. Forget about the Lord. And our goal should be, the highest goal is to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should not be get carrying away by the demigod worship, because we have surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Thank you so much. Hari Krishna. Sorry for extending the little bit above the time. I hope I could add some value to this chapter, beautiful, important section of Bhagavatam about Jad Bharat, the story of the Bharat Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for stressing on the tolerance part, and who can talk about it better than you? So you wonderfully picked up so many incidents from Bhagavatam. You put up so many points from Prabhupada's purport, and you have reiterated so many times, I think, all the while in the session, like how important it is to tolerate and how naturally we can actually imbibe this quality of tolerance. Like if we naturally become spiritual instead of being more bodily conscious, then tolerance become our natural trait, actually our natural, what to say, behavior. So thank you very much, Prabhu. So anybody's having any questions, any comments, we can take for maybe 10 minutes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Anvat Pranam.
Hari Krishna Mataji, Dhanushnam.
Surprise class by you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Whenever we go deep down in something, searching because we know upcoming Janmashtami is coming, and everybody is so much packed with so many things.
Real
Want
test
to
of
get
tolerance is going to come now.
yes, yes, Prabhuji, test of tolerance is going to come with this power pack, like a story and a full class. No, we can gear up with that because Prabhu, we go with so many like people faces. Sometimes people accept, sometimes they say, no, 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 don't want, or say, why you are forcing us? So they see on our face only. That is very difficult. Another part is Prabhu. Now we see we are like all Prabhujis and Matajis are working in uh, IT sector or wherever. There also nowadays it is so much tolerance is required.
To
So
save your
with a
job.
wonderful yes, yes, Prabhuji, we have already discussed with you, me and Prabhuji, like how problems come and all. So you always teach this. So with today's class, you have also like taught like how like Jad Bharat means it was birth after birth, but Lord doesn't leave. This is the best way. So if up and down also come, so we should not leave like Lord, because He is also always protecting the devotees. So we should always be in devotion. Up and down things will come. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this power up class, I will say. So before Janmashtami, you have just given us like wonderfully where we are. I have messaged you. We are struggling with the sadhana also. So much thinking is going on, what to do, what to do. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you so much for attending.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanushnam.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the most wonderful class and so many. Though it was very small chapter, and we, as you know, our ego. Whenever we hear this chapter, we think, okay, we know this chapter, and this comfort actually comes in our mind. But you gave so many this tolerance also, Prabhu. This was a very good because me especially lack in this tolerance, and we always react, and we have this urge to react whenever something happens. No, in talks we can do so many things, but actually when it comes to reality, I'm not able to tolerate. And so this, and many beautiful stories you gave, which are helping us. And about Gandhiji also, though, whenever we talk about Gandhi, many times we will criticize him on what are the certain things he did. But like Prabhupada says, that we have to be like a swan and pick out the best things only, and negative things we should leave. Like the same way Prabhuji you did, and you picked those tolerant qualities of Gandhiji. And now whenever we we have this urge to criticize him, I think we should rather focus on the good things which somebody does, rather than criticizing the negative things. Prabhuji, that is the inspiration we are getting. And please pray for us, Prabhu, because without your prayers we we cannot tolerate, we cannot demonstrate this quality of being tolerant also, though
No,
we try,
I
we
need all
fail
of your
always.
prayers because whatever I have spoken, I don't think I follow any one of
No,
that. But
Prabhu, you truly do. You are being humble and you are saying this, but we see how tolerant you have been always with us. Like training, I have said, in spiritual consciousness also, you're training so many people, youth, young children, and senior citizens. Everybody you are taking care and with full tolerance. And it is really inspiring. Being humble, you are saying this, but we know what is our position and what is your position. We truly know that, Prabhu.
he's
Thank you
keeping
so
your
much,
prayers,
Prabhu.
Mataji, always.
So please pray so that we can
Sure.
tolerate, we can learn
Sure.
to, because we speak about it, but we don't practically, when it comes, we fail, we
I
fail.
know. All of us are like that, Mataji. All of us.
Yes, Prabhuji, I will also agree. Like we come up with so many problems and tell you, Prabhuji, this is happening. Prabhuji, ये हो गया है. Prabhuji, क्या करें? So you answered in such a way, okay, like so calm, Prabhu. You make us also calm. Okay, okay, we will take out some solution. So that is very good, Prabhu. So I think you are practicing the best way of tolerance.
No, I don't know. I know, Mataji, myself, how much I'm tolerating, but maybe it's visible only the half portion. Real portion is not visible to anybody. That's only Paramatma knows. But anyway,
Thank you
it's,
so
I
much,
think the
Prabhu,
whole
for
gist
the
is
class.
that, yes, the whole success of our spiritual life depends on all these qualities. So yeah, we have to work on those. It is a very difficult thing, but by all the examples of these great devotees, they are our hopes that we can see how Srila Prabhupada tolerated. So we, we are nothing in front of him. Okay, I think there is no other thing. Swami Prabhu, can we close then?
Yes, Prabhu, I think we don't have anything for tomorrow.